So this week, Americans got a chance to watch the top Republican candidates battling for the GOP's nomination for president on the same stage for the very first time. Well, all except one, that is. On Wednesday night, 8 of the Republican candidates not named Donald Trump took to the stage in Milwaukee. Despite the far and away frontrunners skipping the debate, the elephant and his indictments were clearly in the room. In fact, according to the New York Times, Trump came up as the second most discussed topic of the debate. Here are the candidates being asked about their allegiance to the former president.
If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
The absurdity abounds. Yep, that was every candidate, except if you saw there. Former governors Chris Christie and Asa Hutchinson very publicly raising their hands in a pledge of support of the now quadruple indicted ex-president if he's the eventual nominee. And if his huge polling lead continues, they'll get their chance to bend the knee to their supreme leader. Joining me now, Molly Jong-Fast, special correspondent with Vanity Fair and host of the Fast Politics podcast, and Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project and author of Running Against the Devil, a plot to save America from Trump and Democrats from themselves. Molly, we've had a few days to digest what happened on Wednesday night. It was pretty riveting, some of it. What's the thing that stands out the most to you?
Okay, so I would say the thing that's the scariest is that there is another charismatic charlatan with the name of Vivek Ramaswamy. And that is a little bit scary, that Trumpism can, in fact, scale, and that there is someone who inherits that mantle. And I thought that was a little bit scary. But what I thought was a little bit promising was that Nikki Haley sort of occupied Earth One, and she was not completely destroyed for it, which in my, I have a pretty low estimation of this Republican Party right now. So I was sort of shocked that they were okay with a more sane Nikki Haley.
So, Rick, for me, Ron DeSantis, he's been tracking in a distant second to Trump in most polls. But at the debate, it was actually Vivek Ramaswamy that Molly just talked about who got kicked the most. Take a listen to some of the attacks that he got.
We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Go and give
I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch,
so the reality
make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And
Rick, other than the mansplaining that I think Vivek was trying to flex when he was there, and the fact that this was a red tie convention, I mean, what are your thoughts about the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy is trying to take, like Molly says, take the mantle over from Donald Trump?
Look, he's not the candidate of ChatGPT. He's the candidate of like 8chan or 4chan. He's basically playing to this weird sort of tech bro / incel demo that wants to own the libs, and he's playing to this sort of Charlie Kirk audience. And look, I get it. In some ways, he's young. He wants to try to find a way to get into the VP slot with Trump. I understand it, but as Molly said correctly, Trumpism has infected the party so thoroughly that now you're seeing a candidate with no ties to the traditional Republican past on that stage at all. And as they're trying to go at him, as Nikki Haley and Mike Pence and all the rest of them are trying to go at him, he's got this sort of shield around him of impervious shamelessness that is it's a very concerning prospect, but it does illustrate that the Republican Party is a post-conservative, post-ideological party that puts showmanship well above any sort of principle.
Molly, someone who surprised me was Nikki Haley. I'm not a fan. Let me be very clear.
Right.
But I was a fan, actually, of some of the stuff that she said. Let's take a really quick listen to what she said about a possible federal abortion ban. Take a listen.
When you're talking about a federal ban, be honest with the American people. We haven't had 45 pro-life senators in over 100 years, so no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president could ban all those state laws. Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
70% of the American people support legislation
but
to ban
70%
abortion
of the
after
Senate
a baby is
does
capable
not.
I mean, more mansplaining going on at this debate, Molly, but I heard her. I heard Nikki Haley, and she made sense. She was practical about the possibility of a federal abortion ban.
What was impressive about Nikki Haley, and I agree, I don't agree with anything she believes in. I would not vote for her.
Agreed.
But what was impressive about her was she said things that were like actually true versus Mike Pence, who said 70% of Americans want an abortion ban. There's not even close to true. In fact, it's more like the opposite. So I did think she was occupying Earth One, which for this Republican Party is very unusual.
Yeah. So, Rick, who didn't show up was Ron DeSantis. He had a real Jeb Bush, let's clap, womp womp moment, I think, at the debate. He didn't show up. And I think that he got completely outshone by Vivek Ramaswamy. So we don't have any new polling yet. But do you expect him, as in DeSantis, to drop even lower in the polls after that lackluster performance?
They should have never put him out on the stage before the software update was complete. The guy just did not have a grip of what was happening around him. And look, he's a candidate who's over-prepared, over-schooled, over-managed, but without the natural graces and skills that somebody with the ability to perform could have taken advantage of all that over-preparation. The problem for DeSantis is that he is fundamentally unlikable, alienating, grating, whining. He comes out of the box. And Fox, by the way, gave him a beautiful opportunity to shine right in the very beginning. And what did he do? He screamed at the camera. Yeah. He yelled. He was bellowing and bullying. The guy's just not ready for this show. And when a punk like Vivek Ramaswamy can go out there and put him in the shade, it really gives you an idea of how badly invested those mega donors were around Ron DeSantis. And by the way, I want to flip back to Katie. I want to flip back to Nikki Haley for 1 second. She wasn't really addressing the Republican Party. She was addressing the Republican donor class because they're heartbroken that they blew it with Ron DeSantis. They're heartbroken that they blew it with Tim Scott. Nobody else on that stage is competitive. They want Chris Christie out there, but they know he can't win the primary or be elected. So they're gambling one more time. It's like 3:30 in the morning, and they're like, I'm gonna roll the dice one more time on Nikki Haley.
Like bleary-eyed. I got less than a minute, Molly. I'm glad that Rick brought up Chris Christie. Yeah. He disappointed me too. Yeah. Why not just let it all out there? You got nothing to lose. And he kind of just came with not even his B game.
This whole idea that Chris Christie is somehow going to save the Republican Party is pretty amazing. I mean, he got COVID from Trump, right? He got COVID from Trump. And then Trump was like, you're not going to tell anyone I gave you COVID. I mean, this is not, this is a Bridgegate guy. This is not an honorable guy. I mean, this is like an 11th hour rewrite he's trying. But there's no reason to believe that he's going to do anything positive except try to help himself and get another TV contributorship.
God, the burn. Molly Jong-Fast, Rick Wilson. I know, look at Rick fanning himself. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.